This is Jeff Mucci with RCR Wireless News and IIoT 5G Insights, and we're here today with Jon Harmer with LaaSer. So Jon, you've got some notoriety lately and some awards. Tell us some about the technology and some of the specific problems you're solving.
Sure, we like to say we're the people who make 911 work the way you thought it already did. Meaning that right now when you call 911, it's a tower-based location that determines both where the call is routed as well as the information that's presented to that call taker. That's problematic for a number of reasons. Some of the call centers we work with have to transfer 1 in 5 calls out to a different dispatch center because they can't help the person that's called in. It's not that bad everywhere, but that's pretty bad. And that adds, 30 seconds or so to call times. Taking the 30 or 40 seconds it takes to figure out where they are in the first place by asking, you've got a minute worth of delay, at least a minute worth of delay. The FCC estimates if we can eliminate that minute delay, we could save over 10,000 people's lives every year. Another way to think of that is that's a commercial jetliner crashing every week and everybody on board dying. And it's not front page news.
Wow. Who runs these 911 centers and why don't they have the requisite technology to take those calls?
It's a good question. It's not the 911 call center's fault, so to speak, right? The technology was designed by the carriers back in 1996 before handsets were as capable as they are today. It was the right decision then, but as technology has advanced, that system has stayed largely the same. So what we've done is actually we take the handset's rich location information, GPS, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, accelerometer, barometer, anything that we can use to correlate to a location. And we use that to influence the routing of the call and then to present to the call takers on the other end in the existing systems the way they work today. So we just have to make a small change to handsets and a small, sort of a lookup in the routing path as it gets to the 911 call center. Call centers don't have to change a thing, they just get better location information and better results.
Is it an over-the-air handset update?
It can be, that's right, yeah. Or that's obviously the time of manufacture.
So walk us through your sales process, if you will, and then subsequent implementation process.
Sure, it's funny to be in charge of marketing at a company where the top of the funnel is 8 companies in the United States. I mean, it's a little more than that, obviously, but essentially. So yeah, we have to strike deals with the handset manufacturers, which are some of the larger companies in the world. And then we have to work either directly with carriers or through their routing providers. So one of our partners is a company called West, used to be Intrado. Sure. Everybody knows the name Intrado in the space. And they do the vast majority of call routing for the 4 major carriers and all of the smaller carriers in the US today. So by plugging in with them, all those decision points sort of reside in their control. And so we can, for all the carriers they work with, we can do that magic that we do once we're on the handsets.
Can you talk a little bit about are carriers adopting this? They obviously know that it's an issue.
They do.
It's a documented issue. For my life's sake, why aren't they all capable of this?
It seems to us that they haven't approached the problem with the same mindset we have. One of the stories I like to tell is the Mars Curiosity lander. NASA went to all the smartest rocket scientists and said, the guys they've been working with forever, and said, okay, we need to land the Curiosity rover on Mars. They said, okay, we will get very precise math and perfect rocket engines and all this stuff, and we will very gently land on Mars. Then NASA went to another group of people who weren't the traditional infrastructure people, and they said, how would you do this? They said, we will just wrap it in airbags and crash it on Mars and let the thing drive away. We're the airbag people, right? We've approached it a different way.
Tell us something about the evolution of the company, from starting with its founding and some of the key milestones that led you to today.
Yeah, we started. We have a lot of telecom background in the company, obviously. That's what led us to understand the problem. We were working on some E911 issues for VoIP phones. The whole you take your registered handset and take it with you on the road or take it home. So you call 911, you're no longer there. And saw a news story done by a gentleman by the name of Brendan Keefe about this woman, Chanel Anderson, who crashed into a lake, called 911, got a phase 1 misroute where she was connected to a call center that couldn't help her, wasn't on their maps, so they didn't even know who to transfer her to, and she ended up dying almost dying while on the phone with 911, and ultimately did end up dying. They were not able to get to her in time. And our CTO saw that news story and was literally blown away that that was still a problem on that level. He said, well, I can fix that. Like, I'm a smart guy, I'm mostly fixing this in some other spaces, let me apply my thoughts to that. He started doing that, looped in my CEO and I. We got a working product, we got a patent, applied for it at the time, and we sort of went public in January. This is all last year. Went sort of public in January of this year on a bunch of news stations. Our patent's been granted. Another milestone's coming up. We're going to kick off a pilot with a major handset manufacturer, regional carrier, and the fine people at West. This should run through the end of the year to put this on real people's phones in the wild, and start generating real results as opposed to just the really impressive test results we've been able to provide so far. So we're on the cusp.
How about comparing and contrasting the issue here in the U.S. versus abroad?
It's the same problem everywhere in the world. Different places have some different twists to it. So in the UK, if you call 112, which I think is their number there, if you call 112 in the UK, it doesn't matter who you talk to. They can dispatch help from anywhere that you get connected to in the country. So there's never going to be that phase one misrouting issue.
Right.
We can help them with a better location presentation to that call taker, but that's the misroute doesn't happen because there's no such thing there. Similarly in Estonia, which is the other place where Google's AML has been implemented. Most of the rest of Europe, it's the same as we have here today. So as part of this show and others from the Telecom Council, we've met with Telefonica and Swisscom and people like that, and they're like, oh yes, that is a problem we were trying to solve, and we would love to have your help solving it. So it's a worldwide problem.
Well, this show is about connecting innovators with telecom, new venture and innovation groups. Tell us about your experience with TC3.
It's been great. We've talked to, as I mentioned, Telefonica and Swisscom. We've run into some people, had meetings with people at IBM. There's a number more scheduled. It's early on the second day, so we have plenty more scheduled for the rest of the day. It's a really good collection of people, specifically actually for that international worldwide market. CTIA is here to sort of represent the American carriers and some people from T-Mobile, who's kind of European anyway. But three of the major carriers don't show up in the same way that we've noticed. Although the CTIA is here and that helps. But for us, for the worldwide expansion, which is our next task to tackle, it's been awesome.
Well, John, thanks for your time this morning. Thanks for your insights and
Absolutely.
best wishes for great success.
Thanks for having me. It's been great.